Hey YouTube, Motor Racing Network, Steve Post here, and we have another great interview that we're going to talk to, well, family members of one of the great legends of the sport. This all brought to you by the University of Racing Legends Authentic Diecast, and if you collect diecast, you need to make sure that it has the University of Racing logo on it, because the diecast they put together is the highest quality, greatest detail, incredible diecast that they have available. And joining us now is the daughter of the great Curtis Turner, Margaret Sue Turner. Welcome to the show. Great to see you.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Thank you.
I'm just going to go real general here right off the bat. Tell us about your dad.
Well, Daddy was an entrepreneur in timber as well, and was very close with the Wood Brothers and raced in the beginning back with the Wood Brothers. And then for a time he was not only in NASCAR, he was also in other organizations, ARCA and USAC, and then this particular car was his comeback car when he came back.
Right.
And it was real exciting. This was very sentimental, and this was a very important race for Dad. Yeah. Obviously. So, but he had won a lot of races. He had won in all of those organizations about 360 races, and did a lot of racing with the convertibles. Had a lot of wins in the convertibles, even in one year. And I wrote a book on the stats. There's so many, and he has so many numbers that I couldn't keep up with all of them, and because they would just jump in, what's available, you know. Right. And so I wrote Curtis Turner Racing Stats for that, and so I have a little Curtis Turner Museum exhibit in Roanoke, Virginia, at the Virginia Museum of Transportation, and we have a little exhibit on some of the things that he's done that were racing related, as well as his other activities. But he was also a promoter of races. Right. And he was president of the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and also he was part owner, and kept telling me he was going to take option on it when he was first starting. So so he's had so much to do with racing, and had so much to do with promoting it and getting people excited about it. Yeah, so, it really is. It's a great story. It really is. In a nutshell.
Exactly. That's the thing. I know I asked you a question that we could go on for hours and hours on, and you can find that information online. Just Google Curtis Turner or Curtis Turner Museum, and we'll also list it down below here on the YouTube video, so that you can do a direct link to it and get the book. It's just absolutely amazing. You're going to be fascinated by the Curtis Turner story, because it's race promoter. There was a time where he was in trouble with NASCAR. There was a time when he came back to NASCAR victorious, and that was really, really neat about that. One of the things, whenever the name Curtis Turner comes up, people say greatest driver on dirt, or greatest driver. We hear that all the time. I don't know how much you remember of that, but, you know, I guess he could just wheel a car.
Yeah, well, yeah, I remember a lot of that.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
He taught me how to drive. So.
Oh, did he really? Okay.
Yeah. I even took his high-speed performance driving school at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Oh, wow.
Started.
Okay.
Yeah. So I loved it. I loved really learning how to handle the car, and it was such a great opportunity. It was actually probably one of the first racing schools, I think, that ever was. I think it was back in 1966 or something when he started that one. And it was called Safe High Performance Driving School, because that they wanted to say it, you know, in a way that it wasn't like, come learn how to go fast. It was like, come learn how to do it well. Do it well, yeah. And which was really great. So I learned how to do 360s and all that. That was a lot of fun, you know.
Wow, that's fantastic. That is really, really cool. This race car, you talked about it. This was his comeback race, or comeback race car that he did. You know, just tell us a little bit about the actual race car, and then we'll talk about the diecast, but how that all came about that got him back racing in NASCAR.
Well, thank you to the Wood Brothers for working with him, and Glenn Wood was integral, you know, in that especially, and the car. I mean, you know, I had found old pictures of trying to find the right color. Yeah. And I couldn't be sure, and so then I found this old picture that had a red color, and I thought, you know, this has changed because of the time and the age, and so I kind of worked with it a little bit, and I felt like I got closer to what I remembered, because I was at that race. And and then Glenn signed off on it, and so it turned out to, you know, he made sure that it was right. I love how University Racing is so particular to really get all these details. It's just beautiful, and it's very educational, so it's just it's a gift.
What was your thought when you first saw the diecast car?
Oh, I just fell in love with it. I think it's the prettiest one up there.
Yeah. We had Marvin Patch tell us the same thing too about his, but you know, I mean, I can't imagine we live, you know, especially in our modern era, a lot of times we live through photos, but to get something tangible just had to be really neat.
Yeah, it was just really beautiful, and I just loved every bit of it, and the inside, and you know, everything about it. And you can open that and open
the detail there. Yeah, I can get my fingers to work. We'll be in good shape.
Yeah.
There we go.
And it when Daddy was holding the steering wheel in a car, it always looked to me like he was a human being and the car was a little toy. Because the steering wheel, to me, his hands were very big. I did a painting of him and Mom, he and my mother, and his hands were so big, and I remember them when he whacked me a couple times.
I'm sure.
You know, he tried to chase me one time, and I got away. But anyway, yeah, he had very large hands, and the steering wheel in his hands just seemed like it was a toy. But you know, those steering wheels were so big.
Yeah.
But you know, as I'm sure Marvin remembers too, but you know, it just looked like a toy in his hands, and so.
That's fascinating. That really, really is. We're so glad you've spent some time with us and share. I just think that the Curtis Turner story, with all of our legends, are just so great. And it's so great that you've put your time into the museum and the book. And now we have Diecast. Now we have things that's really, really cool. Yes. We appreciate your time joining us here today.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
That's it. Exactly. Margaret Sue Turner joining us here. And as we've mentioned, this is part of University of Racing and their incredible line of Legends Authentic Diecast. And folks, these cars are just absolutely beautiful. 18 of them we're up to now. Who would have imagined that when we started off? But now it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And the reason it grows? Well, they're good. It's pretty simple. So make sure you request University of Racing Diecast. The Curtis Turner car is available. It's available at your local Diecast dealer. So walk in and say, I want University of Racing Diecast, or you can get them through us here at planbsales.com.